This will be fun. This is your first time talking to YouTube on a live stream.
Okay. You tell me, are we alive right now?
We're live.
Okay, YouTube's live stream, all you YouTubers. First, I want to thank all of you for being loyal fans or supporters of astrology because YouTube was how my career started. So let's just name that. I did these funny videos about, I don't know, God, it must be over 10 years ago. And in the videos, I acted out all 12 signs. So any of you that are out there, you can, in the YouTube channel, you just put in my name, Deborah Silverman, and then your sun sign, Gemini, Aries, Taurus, whatever it is. And then I didn't like the videos. I was embarrassed when I first produced them. This funny little cartoon character of me playing the 12 signs of you. And so I was so embarrassed, I put them in a drawer. This is such a great teaching. And I didn't want to look at them because they were I called it public schizophrenia. I acted out the 12 signs in 5 little minute vignettes, but they were so over the top. And then fast forward, I don't know, maybe it was 10 years later, or I don't know, 5 years later. And I was having my very first website, which would probably be about, I don't know, 10 years ago. So maybe there was 15 years ago. Anyways, I said to the woman she was doing that, she said, "Do you have any video material?" And I was like, "Well, I did produce these funny little cartoons once." And I gave her the video and I heard her in the other room laughing and laughing. And then she said, "Can I put these on YouTube?" Keyword there, YouTube. And they went viral. They just went crazy. And those videos, and thank you for supporting me, those videos became a teaching tool and continue to be for all of our classes. And they went across the world. They've probably hit, I don't know, they're over 7 million views of people watching this funny Deborah Silverman characteristic of me doing funny acting out of the signs. So this morning, I'm on my first YouTube live video, wanting to share with you the significance of vulnerability, one of the topics that I just exposed, because when I watched those videos the first time when we produced them, I was so embarrassed and so self-conscious. And I felt like I was exposing parts of my psyche that were, one, cartoon-like, so they weren't really me. Two, I've never been trained as an actress. Three, I improved. I was doing all of that without a producer, and I felt really self-conscious. Thank you, Carmel Goddess. She loved my interpretations. And so then what happened was my vulnerability became exposed when this woman encouraged me. Here's the thing about vulnerability. If there's one person in your world who can say to you, like she said to me, "These are so funny, these are so good," as soon as that positive energy is in place, vulnerability becomes a win. And vulnerability is disarming the pretense of being the know-it-all, of being safe. You're not safe. Vulnerability is not, people always say, "I don't want to be vulnerable. It's so dangerous." I would say to you, being vulnerable takes far more courage than pretending you're safe and you're strong and you're all protected, because that's a pretense. None of us are safe. All of us on the inner plane have a tender, vulnerable heart. And that vulnerability is what you give to your lover or to your dog or to your child. You let them know how much you love them and how tender you are, and you let them feel your sensitivity. But then once somebody displays any harsh behavior, vulnerability goes running out the back door. You put up your dukes. Now we've got two defended humans, and the conversation goes nowhere quick. And this is such an apt, appropriate conversation for the election is coming up. And it's our turn to put our vote in of who we believe in. But if someone in your neighborhood doesn't believe what you believe in, that leaves you vulnerable, because you can't, it's so hard to even enter a conversation with someone on the opposite political point of view than you have. And I have had this experience firsthand. And you don't want to even breach you don't want to even go close to the topic because you know you're so vulnerable. It's an escalated opportunity to argue and fight. And what I want to say is, reduce your attachment to being right and increase your compassion for being vulnerable. If our job was vulnerability at all cost, if we made our first mission this life to be understanding, like I love the Dalai Lama. His religion is kindness. He just wants, like, let's use him for example. So he lives in Tibet. to start with, up in these mountains. And he has a temple for the last 5,000 years where all of his rituals are done and all the chanting takes place and all ceremony goes on in there. It's this holy space that in the walls, there's so much memory of his 13 incarnations. The Dalai Lama has been alive 13 times within a period of only years. He reincarnates. So talk about devotional, sacred, holy land. It is. That was called the Portala. And then in comes the Chinese, and they decide that it's not okay to have Tibet ruled by these Buddhists, because they want it to be their religion and not be supported by these liberal Buddhists. The Chinese want control over it. So they send, this is 1958, I want to say, they send the Dalai Lama away from his long-standing ancient land to go to India, to Dharamsala, where he's going to establish a new place for him to pray, because he's angst, he's exiled, he's got to leave his land because of war. And so he goes out to, it's so beautiful, to live in India. And the crazy part is he prays for the Chinese and he stays vulnerable and he continues to talk about them and he puts them in his meditation. That's vulnerability, to take down your defense, to stand face to face with your person you don't get along with, or your ex-husband, or someone that's wronged you, and say, listen, I'm not going to get off my position. I know my position is right and you're wrong. And I want to include a listening. This is what the front edge right now of society is. Can I listen to someone who I totally don't agree with? Yeah, no, we can't do it. We're not there yet. But here on YouTube and here in the middle of cyberspace, where there is a non-physical experience, we have more capacity to listen without hurting somebody. But it takes so much courage to be honest and raw and vulnerable and exposed and calm and quiet and sensitive and patient, rather than being impulsive and reactive and defended and right. So I'm really singing to the choir. I don't know that I have the capacity to take my ego out of the story, but I want to. And I invite all of you to study astrology in the quest of identifying your well-worn patterns, becoming aware of them, and then being open-minded about the diverse 11 other signs that don't do it the way you do it. They don't have a sense of humor, or they don't have generosity, or they don't have listening skills, or they don't have awareness. And then you have to be compassionate. Well, you don't have to, but we're on YouTube and I'm trying to help you. Are there any questions out there, Carrie? I don't know if you guys knew about the Dalai Lama having to never, ever go home again. He will never go back to his temple. And his monks have been exiled. So they can't go produce the sacreds. I mean, I can't even imagine. It'd be like saying to all the Jews, they can never go back to Israel. They can never go back into the old temple, ever, because the Arabs came in and took over. But that's what's happened with Tibetans. That's what's happened with those Buddhists that stand for the Dalai Lama. But we don't really do anything about it, do we? Sad, really sad. Makes me sad. Okay, we're getting comments. Amazing story. Aloha from the Big Island, Quito. Aloha to all of you. Don't forget to study astrology. This YouTube videos, there's a million free videos for you. Today, the moon is in Virgo. It's time to study and ask, what can I do to serve humanity? How can I fulfill my soul's mission? Is there anything I can do today to lift the energy up? Yeah, and even when you're in the face of someone who says, you're horrible, you're bad, I don't like you, or they perpetrated you, or they were mean, or they don't understand you, or you're with your husband and he's making you pissed off, or your kid, you got to say, listen, I'm vulnerable. If you could just use that sentence, I'm vulnerable. I'm so sad and I'm so scared that we'll never make it back to peace again. And that, to end a marriage or a relationship, it's such an amazing thing. With consciousness is a miracle. So someone is calling me and I'm going to exit stage left. Go ahead, YouTube video people. This was my short entrance into vulnerability. honesty, kindness, all those old-fashioned words that we just wish would go away, but they don't go away because they're the only thing that's going to make this planet worthwhile. All right, Carrie, did I do my job?
Always. Thank you so much. I'll end the meeting.
I'll end the meeting too. Thank you.